Okay, hey guys, it's your boy Dark Raku here with a new what if video. I know. The Ichigo what if, I'm actually just gonna do a one shot, and then when I come back after watching Bleach, enough. Because I already, yeah, and I also want to go to the manga, but not the point. Um, I'm just gonna do this what if. So I had two different titles of what ifs before I just decided on this one. So this what if is called What If Issei Had Found Out About the Truth. Yeah, about the truth of his death. About his death. You want okay, I suck at fucking writing shit, okay? The reason why I was just stressed the whole day thinking, should I do the fucking thing that I had to do for 10 hours? Yes, there's the thing that I had to do for 10 hours for my school, and it's called OSHA, and it's complete bullshit. All of it's fucking horseshit. I don't need to know for 10 hours about safety shit when I already know about it. What the fuck? But whatever. Of course, I'm gonna just try to fucking go and speed through it, like later, or yeah. Try to just fucking do a speed run for it. I know it's 10 hours. Let me try to make that for 5 fucking hours instead, because I'm not gonna try to deal for that shit. But yeah. Also, I forgot to mention, and had space and time. I forgot to mention that, but not the point. I'm rambling on. But I should also mention that tomorrow I probably won't be able to record. I'm probably just gonna have to do the OSHA bullshit thing for 10 hours or 5 hours at least, and then after that I will have to bring my siblings to what's it called, a dentist. I know they're gonna be bitching and annoying, but whatever. Then after that, I have lots of fucking shit to do. Now that I realize this. Fuck. But not the point. Let me, begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up. And yeah. So, yeah. This is called What If Issei Had Found Out About His Death. And, mostly the truth about his death. And had space and time. Okay. So, yes, he is going to have two other sacred gears from just the side of Drake. But don't worry about that. Let me begin. So, we go into mostly Issei. Issei was mostly back at his house after the whole Riser kind of effect. Now, the problem is, when he was actually defeating Riser and other things, for some reason, something kind of came up to his, head. He wasn't defeating him just yet. It was actually kind of confusing. When he was getting his ass kicked and we see, actually, wait. So when he was kind of defeating Riser, or mostly Riser was kicking his ass, because he still didn't have enough power to activate, not second, he did have enough power, but he still kind of fell because Riser is kind of immortal. When he was back at his house, he did sacrifice his arm towards to kind of mostly get Rias back. But before doing that, he didn't actually do it on purpose. You see here, when Graphia came to actually ask him, she was just asking him if he wanted to go save her. This is where, Issei during the time of a lot of things, when he was actually now thinking mostly in his head, does he want to go save Rias? He didn't, this time he didn't just say yes automatically. He kind of just stuttered for a little bit. Next word, he then kind of just think of everything what she has done for him. Mostly train him like hell, do other stuff, and kind of, then this is what he then thinks about her. A lot of his training isn't mostly what's it called. It was kind of, yes, training to help him out, but most of the training was it wasn't fully training. Like she had barely any clue how to train him neither. This is what, he then thinks towards mostly the day when he died against Rainier, and then got the contract of that familiar, and this is what the familiar then kind of, he started connecting all pieces. Also, if you're hearing, so if you heard something in my mouth, that was just a cough drop. I know it sounds kind of weird, my voice a little bit. I'm going to have a cough drop in my mouth, but yeah. But we go into Issei kind of thinking about everything, and this is where, he then kind of thinks about, a lot of things. Mostly what's it called? A lot of stuff about, mostly, he did say this out loud. Well, not out loud enough, but when he actually thought about it, the Rainer, and then the Familiar, and then Rias, and then this is where he then connects everything. He then asked, what's it called, Graceophy about, how devils work in their own, what's it called, mostly territories. This is where, well, Gracie says that, well, in their own devil territories, they'll eliminate anything that might cause a potential threat. That being either fallen angels or just angels. This is where, well, Issei nodded. This is where Issei then actually thought about it. This is where, well, he now realized that basically Rias let him die entirely. Against, well, mostly Rainier. This is where, well, Issei says, that son of a bitch. This is where Issei says, no, I'm not going to help her. She let me die. Why the hell would I want to help her? This is where Issei kind of acted out of repulsion. This is where, well, when Grace heard this, she kind of frowned. This is where, well, she wants to save her kind of like sister figure from that, what's it called, fried chicken. But now hearing out that Issei is repulsing instead of saving her because he realized, well, something that Rios might have done. And this is where, well, she had no other choice but instead putting him a magic spell on top of his neck. This is where, well, mostly in his neck spot. And this is where, well, Issei says, what are you doing? This is where, well, Issei's eyes kind of dulled a little bit, but then became shiny bright a little bit back to normal and back to his perverted self. This is where he's no more thinking about repulsion stuff and other stuff. This is where he says, I must go save what's it called, Ria's Creamery, blah, 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 blah. It seems like Gracie kind of did a spell that managed to, well, make him just fall back to his perverted self. Or mostly something that original canon would have happened. This is where, well, he does sacrifice his arm, even though Drake tried to break the spell but couldn't, since he's only a mere godlet and he won't have enough power to kind of put into Issei's body. And this is where, well, this is where Issei still goes on and fights Riser and everything else that goes on in original canon. We go into mostly the battle between Valerie, well, yeah, not Valerie, well, Vali, but her full name is Valerie Lucifer. Yes, Vali in this one is a girl, but don't worry about it. This is where, well, she is laughing like a maniac, and of course, where, well, she's sending attacks that should be able to divide stuff. Well, divide a lot of stuff, and of course fighting against Issei. And of course, where, well, we go into conscious Issei. Well, mostly in the conscious. Mostly someone was sleeping, or really not sleeping. Mostly he's opened his eyes. This is where, well, it's showing bright, angry eyes. Mostly dark, brown, crimson. Well, mostly not crimson, but dark eyes entirely. Very angry and annoyed. This is where, well, he sees cracks right in front of him. He's in the dark void, but of course it's mostly in his conscious. This is where, well, this figure, this ghost figure, sees cracks appearing right, well, mostly blue and red appearing, mostly divide and what's it called, boost. This is where, well, he then looks at this and says, I see. So I guess my prediction will be right. I guess that fucking spell should be breaking anytime soon. It's been so many months since I've been in this place, seeing my stupid self literally just be controlled, and having my perverted self instead. I'm going to kill you, damn pervert. This is where the voice kind of said. You go back into the outside. This is where, well, Valerie's dividing stuff, and this is where, well, Aliso kind of tells, well, Issei about, what's it called, the whole, how the dividing stuff is going to happen towards the master's kind of chest, and this is where he goes, boost, boost, boost. He's going to say, I won't let you divide Rios' kind of chest. This is where Valerie says, wait, what? This is where, well, Rios kind of blushes and looks away. This is where, well, Issei, he's kind of getting angry, and this is where, well, Valerie did kind of, what's it called? Well, she is kind of a maniac like original canon, like a battle maniac, but yeah. This is where, well, Issei said, I'm going to kick your ass. This is where, well, Issei kind of was boosting up a lot, and of course, a spell behind his neck started shattering and breaking. This is where, well, he's boost, boost, boost. This is where, well, he does kind of like fight, what's it called? Well, Valerie, and of course does manage to break one of her gems, and this is where, well, he smashes the divide into his like chest, and of course when he does that, the pain is going throughout his whole body. The spell behind him starts breaking more. This is where something inside, when he does say kind of divide, when he actually managed to conquer it and divide it, he kind of used divide, it kind of loses some of his life points, mostly his lifespan, but of course something happens. A spell that was within his body kind of finally gets a little bit broken and weakened enough for someone to literally snap his fingers and blows it up. This is where, well, the spell was now disappeared from his neck. And this is where, well, no one ever did notice the spell ever, mostly like Sir Zex or anyone else, because Gracie did put an illusion kind of magic, so it might just be what's it called, Issei's magic. Very small, but yeah. This is where, well, the little magic spell that was on his neck decided to break. This is where, well, something appears. Mostly Issei then kind of went down like if he passed out for a second. This is where, well, Valerie was confused and shocked, but of course does see the white gauntlet in his hand. And this is where, well, Issei said, that idiotic perverted spell of mine. This is where, well, he sees the perverted self. This is where the perverted self is confused. He's right now in his conscience and saying, Drake, what is happening? I need to fight him. I need to fight her. I need to really beat her up for daring to. This is where Drake says, I don't listen to you. This is where, well, the perverted Issei said, What are you talking about? You stupid dragon. Listen to me. This is where the, what's it called, perverted Issei is kind of becoming an icy bluish skin. Mostly kind of looking like a little bit of like an icy version of what's it called, Issei. And this is where when he looks around, he noticed an actual different Issei. His hair seems to be longer, like darker and longer at the same time. Almost a shade of like black, but it's dark brown. Of course, his eyes are darker, but they become a little bit lighter, but not the point. Well, one becomes lighter, one becomes darker. This is where his eyes are different. This is where, well, the icy kind of perverted, Issei says, Huh? No, how are you even free? No, that can't be impossible. No, I gotta put you back. This is where, well, the original Issei says, Wow, look at me. I look kind of damn ugly. This is where, well, the perverted icy Issei right now transforms into this monster trying to attack, well, the original Issei. And of course, Drake doesn't get involved. But this is where, well, Issei looks at this perverted sight and says, Be gone, you pathetic weakling. This is my original body. And I need you to be gone and be erased from existence. Time. This is where, well, he kind of like his hand kind of glow with this magical circle, but there was two different overlap of magical circles. This is where Drake was actually confused and shocked because, well, he didn't know this original Issei knew how to do this spell. Time and space deletion. This is where, well, it deleted the icy Issei right now, kind of destroying the fully magic spell from his back, from his neck. This is where Issei said, now I can be in full control. This is where, well, we go into the armor of Issei, mostly the body of Issei. Issei's kind of physical stats, mostly like his muscles kind of became a little bit bigger. His power also did kind of increase. His hair becomes longer, his dark eyes. This is where, well, Issei, he can actually use what's called the boosted gear much better. Mostly the dragon kind of, the mostly dragon armor, mostly the balance breaker. But of course, he's staying in it for a while. This is where, well, Issei. Now, the original Issei that doesn't really care about Rias or anyone in her barrage. Actually, he doesn't give a damn. Truly, this is the original, and he hates the fact that Grace literally puts him under a fucking spell just to save Rias and her fucking life. This is where, well, Issei was annoyed. He was literally a fucking dog for, well, so many months. After finding out, he could have been free. He should have said nothing towards Grace or anything, out of repulsion or nothing. He should have just stayed silent. But no, he said it, and it cost him his fucking life. This is where, well, he doesn't care. He just decides to fight what's it called, Valerie, for a little bit. Of course, he has this insane grin when he's actually fighting him. And of course, where, well, Valerie can see the different skills in between Issei. Of course, Issei isn't talking, which actually kind of scares her and confuses. It's actually, he's like more quiet and different personality. Instead of kind of saying that he's fine or anything when he kind of protects some of the others. Which, he doesn't really want to protect them, but he still got to do the illusion. Yeah, he's under the illusion and having that other fake self of him. But yeah, the perverted self of him. This is where, well, Drake says, partner, what do you want to think about doing? This is where, well, Issei says, don't worry, Drake. I know what's going to happen. This is where, well, the barrier on top, mostly the dome, decides to break. And of course, Valerie's out of her armor. And of course, where, well, Valerie didn't want to go into, what's it called, domination. Well, not domination, mostly juggernaut. But of course, where, well, Biko appears and says, sorry, but we gotta leave. This is where Issei grins and says, oh no, you don't. stop time magic circle. This is where he said kind of quietly under his breath. And of course, the magic circle kind of turns grayish. And of course, their skin kind of turned grayish. And this is where Issei kind of rushes toward him. Of course, in blinding speed. Like he's showing off a little bit more speed, which everyone is confused. But this is where Issei appears on the magic circle, like in the magic circle. And instead of attacking Valerie or even Biku, he then releases something. He snaps his fingers and says, speed up time. This is where, well, the grayish color decides to become a little bit brightish, with them also becoming brightish, and this is where the magic circle teleports him somewhere. This is where, well, everyone was shocked. They just saw Issei literally get teleported with the others. He didn't attack them. He didn't do anything. He literally just decided to teleport. But before getting teleported, he kind of told Sir Zex, tell Gracie that she didn't hurt, that her magic circle didn't fully work against me. This is where, well, Issei's mask broke off and of course showing his true face. Of course, mostly his body kind of become different. He became more kind of muscular and good looking, but of course his hair was much longer. This is where his eyes were darker. This is where, well, Sir Zax was confused and right now shocked and dumbfounded something about Gracie be with Issei. He didn't understand, but of course he will have to ask her. This is where, well, we go into where mostly Valerie and what's it called, Biku appear. This is where, well, Biku says, don't know where the fuck the Red Dragon Emperor went. Where the hell did he even go? He was right in front of us until he disappeared. Luckily he didn't attack us. This is where, well, Valerie says, yeah, I know. I'm tired. Damn it. What, Albion, why didn't you let me go Juggernaut Drive? This is where, well, Albion says, you crazy little girl. Are you crazy enough? This is where, well, if I would have let you go into Juggernaut Drive, it would have been just a waste to fight him. Not right now. Valerie says, fine, I wouldn't fight him. This is where, well, Issei is kind of being behind him. But of course, they haven't sensed his pressure because he had actually sealed his kind of magic pressure away a little bit. This is where Drake is saying, what are you thinking, partner? What are you going to do? I'm just going to spook the hell out of them. This is where Issei has his malicious grin. Of course, Drake has actually found his actual now original partner instead of the icy looking one, which he's not stupid enough to literally believe that this was the original Issei, but he didn't have enough power to get rid of the illusion Issei. But yeah, this is where, well, Issei is kind of being behind them, and this is where, well, he then puts both of his hands, well, mostly both of his like arms around Becca and Valerie, and say, so this is your house. What an interesting house place. This is where both of them were shocked after hearing his voice, and of course, this is where Valerie is kind of more shocked because of his voice being a little bit different. It's much more colder, and of course, this is where a hint of this murderous tone. Now, of course, this is where, well, both Valerie and Biku didn't hear what Issei said because they had magic actually appear on their heads like if it was a headphone, right now stopping anything what Issei said towards Sir Zax. But yeah, of course, they were just shocked to believe he was behind them the entire time. Issei decides to walk past them and says, this is quite interesting. This house looks really interesting. It looks like a mansion. Issei's just spinning around and just chuckling to himself. This is where, well, Valerie says, how? How the hell did you get into the magic circle without us noticing? This is where Biku gets on guard to actually fight against the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei said, don't know. Besides, I'm not here to really fight. I'm here to just relax. I'm actually happy to get out of those three factions leader Bush's sight. Because you see here, I'm not stupid. I know they would try to eliminate me because if you didn't betray them, they would have tried to eliminate me or you. This is where Valerie was confused. This is where we go into a flashback of Issei. Even though Issei couldn't really, be able to see much outside, he did every time he did get a glimpse of, well, from his eyes, because even though he was in his conscious and kind of locked away, he did manage to kind of break out a little bit from the seals. He did always manage to see from the right side of, his body, mostly the right side of his eyes. This is where every time his illusion, mostly the fucking sealment, imprisonment, icy self, wasn't just looking at any of the girls' kind of chests or whatever. Of course, every time he took a chance at looking at the leaders, this is where, well, like Sir Zack, Sirfo, Michael, or even Azil, or even Valerie, he always kind of used an ability on them. Even though he didn't have much magic and power in this dimension, or mostly in his conscious, because it was like imprisonment, he still managed to use it. an ability which his eyes can actually give him. Mostly what he can see into the future from their kind of conscious thoughts. But yeah, of course, Issei managed to kind of understand what they were saying. Mostly, he kind of heard in their words, like if he was in still his present self, which he was in prison, but it was an echo, like an audio, kind of replaying. Mostly, what they were thinking in their heads was to kill the Red Dragon Emperor and keep the White Dragon Empress. So they wouldn't have this war conflict battle between both of them, since they're supposed to be rivals. And if they kill them, then or seal them away, blah blah blah, then that would not happen. This is where they were only thinking of killing Issei, not Valerie. But when Valerie betrayed them, they were now thinking of just keeping Issei, even though they don't really want to have this stuff like that. But of course, that was happening. This is where, Issei already understands that he was going to die if he didn't get a chance of breaking out this prison. Somehow, even though he didn't have enough magical power. He did, but he couldn't really release it enough, or people would kind of get confused with the magical power that he has. That means releasing his actual abilities that he actually awakened about 2 months ago when he was in this trapped concealment of his conscious. But yeah, this is where Issei was saying, this is quite interesting. But yeah, of course, when the total dividing and boosting up the powers, mostly that sealment was actually getting shattered because of the power of boost and divide. So mostly the magic wasn't having balance with that kind of sealment magic. So of course the prison was literally being torn and ripped and kind of shattered, making Issei be able to have the chance to literally escape this imprisonment, which he does. He jumped through it. At that perfect chance, he jumped through it and fought against his icy self. But not the point. This is where Issei is like spinning around, looking towards the rooms. He sees a giant kitchen. He sees a giant living room. When he sees the giant living room, he decides to just jump on the couch and lay on it. This is quite interesting. I can get used to this, Issei said with such a malicious grin. This is where, Valerie and Beko are still on guard with Issei. Issei said, "So, you're probably wondering, how the hell did I manage to jump into your magic circle without any of you noticing?" This is where before Issei decides to say anything, he actually shuts up for a second until he sees other members appear. This is where other members of Valerie's team. Mostly, Valerie's team has other members, 3 other members. Mostly kind of 4 other members entirely. This is where, the 4 other members is, one is kind of, named Arthur Pendragon. Another one is, Philia, whatever, mostly his sister, Pendragon, and of course then there's also Kuroka, the Nakamaru, and the last one is mostly this kind of like fox that has with powerful aura, mostly this powerful dark aura. This is where, they're confused with seeing another member with darkish brown hair and of course these darkish eyes with such a malicious grin in his face. It looks cheery, but of course more malicious than normal. Which they all get on guard because they see Valerie and even Biko being on guard. Valerie can't really use that much magical power because she did kind of fight against the Red Dragon Emperor. And of course, Issei looks at them with just a calm looking expression, with still the malicious grin, and of course, kind of looking cheery at the same time. That's interesting. I can't believe there's so many people really just out here to kill me. This is where Arthur said, "Who are you?" Issei said, "Me? Oh, I'm just your friendly dragon emperor here. I'm just here sitting on your couch because I don't really mind it. I'm not really here to fight you. If I was, all of you would have been dead in an instant." He said so coldly and murderous. This is where all of them has chills down their spine. Even Valerie. This is where, this is not the same perverted, Red Dragon Emperor that she was fighting a while ago. This is a more malicious, murderous type of Red Dragon Emperor. Mostly cheerful a little bit, but of course more murderous. This is where, Issei grins after seeing Valerie's kind of face. This is where, he then licks his lip a little bit. This is where, he then actually kind of noticed one thing. Something actually appears most into the future. A sight of future. He's a sight future. This is where, he grins, and this is where a magic circle appears behind him, and this is where he says, if it isn't Ouroboros, or also known as Ophis, the infinite dragon. This is where, Ophis appears. This is where, it's a little girl, mostly You know what, fuck that, no. That's some FBI shit. So I'm gonna just age her up. I think she can just transform into illusion. So I'm gonna just say that she looks like a teenager. 17. Fuck it. She looks like a 17-year-old. But yeah. If I maybe there's an image on fucking with the car. You know, fuck it. This will be the picture for Ophis kind of transformation of a teenager. So yeah, she looks like that. Because first of all, her first form is literally a fucking child. Or also, I like to call it the FBI watch list. But yeah. But not the point. This is where, well, Ophis appears. This is where, well, she narrowed her eyes at Issei. This is where Issei looks at her with this kind of malicious grin. And of course, where, well, Issei, so, you're Ophis, the infamous dragon. I wasn't expecting you to actually appear here. Then again, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Who knows? This is where, well, everyone right now gets on also guard because Issei seems to be really intrigued with the what's called infamous dragon. Of course, well, the infamous dragon does still has this motionless grin. Well, mostly not a motionless grin, but mostly has a emotionless look, but a nervous look at the same time. The aura that no one else can sense, she can sense it from Issei. Even though he's suppressing it, there's still a lot of it. That's where, well, Issei kind of goes, wow, you're looking quite beautiful. But not the point. I know you can shapeshift, so it's really no point of me telling you you look beautiful or not. This is where Ophis had a tint of blush in her face. But this is where, well, Issei said, huh, so you're the infamous dragon. I wonder, can I do this? This is where, well, Issei right now was about to snap his fingers until this is where, well, divide. This is where Issei jumps away. This is where, well, Issei looks at Albion, also known as Valerie, well, mostly the White Dragon Empress. This is where Issei says, "Ah, fine, I won't do it." This is where, well, Ophis says, "What are you doing here, Red Dragon Emperor?" This is where, well, the other members actually now kind of heard the name, and of course, the Red Dragon Emperor. If this is the Red Dragon Emperor, then he looks quite different from the information they would have got a while ago. Of course, where Beku, he doesn't understand why this Red Dragon Emperor looks different. He has a malicious grin, a different looks in his eyes, mostly like they're cold and dead. But of course, it wears such a malicious but happy grin. This is where, well, Issei said, I don't know what you're talking about. What am I doing here? I don't know. Maybe I wanted to be free. Maybe I wanted just to experiment true freedom instead of being a slave for that red hair slut. Well, mostly, in other words, Valerie kind of says, because, well, she does explain to me about my death being a false thing and blah, blah, blah. It's not like I already know this about that. It's not like I was under a spell and her dividement and my stupid, what's called illusion self managed to divide, well, mostly boost and then divide at the same time, breaking the spell, making me free, and me killing the fake one, and right now devouring the mostly knowledge and information he would have got. But he didn't really have that much. Whatever. This is where, well, Ophis nodded. I see. So, I now understand why you were so weak as being one of the weakest Red Dragon Emperors. Mostly for me keeping an eye on you in a little bit. From ever since you were young, ever since when you joined Rios Barrage, and ever since you kind of beat the kind of that fried chicken. She basically said, he said, say, I know, right? I beat the shit out of the fried chicken. I should have fucking killed him. I wonder how many devils would have been angry at me. He said with such a malicious grin, in such a very angry tone at the same time. This is where, well, Ophis says, no wonder you kind of change. But you are more similar to Perber. I thought you would have changed after, well, realizing that you have power. But you didn't change at all. So that was just a pervertedness. I thought I felt two souls from your body. One being that perverted self while another one was locked in your side or body. This is where, well, Issei grins at her and says, oh, so you would have noticed. I thought only the god of death would have noticed that I had two souls. One that was falsely made thanks to grace of Lucifer, who was, well, the wife of Cersei's Lucifer. And, well, my original soul, which this is my original soul. I look like this incompletely, but don't worry about that. That's where, well, he looks his kind of tooth. He's right now showing his kind of teeth. They're kind of sharp a little bit, but yeah. That's where, well, Ophis says, I see. So what are you doing here, Red Dragon Emperor? So if you finally broken out, what do you even want to do? Let's see. I don't really know what your goal entirely is, but maybe I kind of do know. You in this organization called the Chaos Brigade or whatever are trying to free. This is where Orpheus says free. This is where Orpheus was about to correct him. Free Trisecta. This is where Issei said. This is where, well, Orpheus widened her eyes, and this is where that's not even the case and why they're trying to do this. She basically just wants to kind of get her peace and quiet, not to kind of free Trisecta. Because yes, there was like 3 beings of very powerful abilities, like Great Red, her, and even what's it called, Trisecta. There was actually a 4th one, well, mostly like 2 others, but mostly one was called the Apocalypse Dragon, the other one was someone that should not be announced, and well, she doesn't really want to talk about it. But yeah, this is where, well, Trisecta is in her last mind. She's not trying to free that beast, that destruction beast. This is where, well, she then corrected Issei. That's not the beast I want to free. I just want to kind of get Great Red out of my freaking home so I can actually have my peace and quiet. Issei looks at her and grins. And this is where Issei said, if that's the case, then why is this organization literally trying to free Trisecta? They're trying to find a holy grail and trying to, free Trisecta. This is where, well, mostly Orpheus widened her eyes because, well, yes, this organization is to literally try to kill Great Red, but this is where she didn't know about the alternate motives from the others. But yeah, this is where Issei is grinning. Issei said, so you didn't know about their true intent. What a quite interesting informant tracking you are. You don't know about their true motives. What, can you not see into the future? Issei said casually. This is where Orpheus says, no, I can't. But I'm guessing you could. Because how else will you know about their motives? Issei grins and turns around. His eyes change. Both of them change at once. One becomes a whitish, kind of pinkish, kind of like palish pinkish eye that looks like a star. But of course, the other one kind of becomes a dark, like black, but mostly dark blue kind of time clock star color. But yeah, and that's where, well, Issei said, yes, I can see into the future. I can see through also other dimensions and galaxies. I have both the eyes of time and space. If you're quite interested in that. This is where, well, Orpheus widened her eyes and says, huh? Those eyes? But how can a human like you contain them? No. How can you have them? This is where, well, Issei grins and says, don't know why. I guess I was just born with them. Maybe. Who knows? This is where, well, Orpheus widened her eyes. This is where, well, Issei grins at her. And this is where, well, Issei said, I don't really know neither. But other than that, maybe I can show you my other 2 sacred gears. He grins with such a malicious grin that everyone widened their eyes and Orpheus kind of narrowed her eyes. 2 other sacred gears? I can only feel one, and that being D-Drake. D-Drake actually appears also saying, wait. 2 other sacred gears? I don't see them in my mindscape. Where the fuck are they? Issei said, aw, well, that's just because they're a little shy and they don't want to talk to you, Drake. This is where Drake narrowed his eyes at his host right now, looking at him with trying to figure out if Issei's lying or not. He's also trying to look into his mind and trying to see if he's lying or not, which Issei has a mindset of something else. It's not his perverted usual self, mostly the perverted illusion, but mostly a mindset full of nothingness. But yeah, he's trying to look into his like memories, which he can't find anything, and can't find anything containing to those eyes and how he got them. This is where, well, Issei said, well, I guess I can summon them out. This is where Issei swings his left hand out, and this is where, well, Issei kind of chants out a name saying, Sacred Gear. Well, he says, Time Sacred Gear, come out, please, and hear my call, Dialgia, the dragon god of time. Please hear my call. Well, mostly, it's not really a dragon god, mostly he says, the god of time, please hear my call, and come out. This is where, well, a gauntlet appears. Now, this gauntlet looks to be white. The gem is like very brightish blue. It's like a diamond color. But of course, there's like 2 gems, mostly one near the elbow. But yeah, this is where it's white, but also has a very scaly blue kind of texture to it. But yeah, and this is where, well, he then shows Dialga the time gauntlet that he has. This is where his mostly left eye started glowing brightly. That being the time eye. This is where he grins at everyone with such a malicious grin. This is where, well, veins also started appearing around his eye, like if it's actually kind of pulsating more power. And having this mystery kind of bluish kind of glow appear from his eye, having numbers actually appearing. This is where, like, time numbers. This is where, well, Issei is having such a malicious grin at everyone wind their eyes. This is where, well, Ophis wind her eyes. The time god, I see. This is where, well, she then looks up and says, then what else are you hiding? You said there's 2. This is where, well, Issei says, why, of course. Dialga, can you please speak for a second? This is where Dialga started speaking, saying, hello there, everyone. Also, hello there, dragon. Well, Ophis, the dragon infinite god. What an interesting sight for my host to literally see. Well, other than that, can you summon the other? And this is where Issei says, with pleasure, Palkia. This is where, well, he kind of says, space god, well, mostly, space god. Well, mostly, let me say it again. Legendary of space god creature, can you please show your beautiful whitish wings and appear behind me? Show them the power of space. This is where, well, a whitish wings appeared from behind him, and of course, this is where, well, the wings appear. They're like, seems to be not jet black, but very like white. They seem to be like marble color. This is where, well, like actual the marble color, not like marble. But of course, where, well, it has these gems, but they seem to be like pearls, but they're like a pinkish color. Of course, their stripes would be kind of pink also on it, like purplish color. And of course, where, well, the wings actually spread out like these, well, like similar wings to mostly Volley's kind of wings, mostly the blue wings. But instead of being like blue kind of lightish wings, they're like this pinkish purplish color, being similar to the galaxy color. This is where, well, an aura of that. This is where Issei's eye, his right eye, started glowing with such more power. This is where, well, Issei's veins also started appearing, but yeah. This is where it now has this kind of galaxy color, like a universal kind of color of mist appearing from his eye. His right eye. This is where he's grinning at Ophis with such a malicious grin that Ophis now has this startled kind of look. Instead of having her emotionless look, she's right now sweating bullets. These 2 sacred gears aren't supposed to exist, but of course they exist for only Issei. This is where Issei said, so, how do you like my power? Ophis, what was it called? Infinite Dragon? This is where, well, Drake is right now winding his eyes. He can feel the power of both the space god and also time god. This is where, well, Issei's power has increased to a lot. This is where Issei said, so, how do you like my power there, Ophis? This is where, well, he's grinning at her, and this is where, well, she kind of tries to put back to her emotional look, and she says, I see. No wonder you have much more power than normal. You can also be going against Great Red. This is where, well, she looks at him and says, I want to... This is where Issei is gone. Everyone is confused, now shocked and surprised. And this is where, well, everyone says, where the hell did he go? This is where, well, Issei says, don't know where I went. This is where everyone kind of now looks to the side. And this is where, well, they see what next to Volley's kind of side, mostly Volley's side. And this is where Volley turns around and says, what the, how the... This is where everyone says, what the fuck? This is where, well, Issei is right now grinning such a malicious grin. And of course, Drake is like also shocked, like he didn't even see his own partner literally leave. What? But yeah, this is where, well, Palkia and Dialga are just chuckling, but yeah. Basically, Issei just stopped time in this certain dome. And of course, even Ophis Dragon was kind of shocked to even believe that he did something like that. With such quick and precise movement. This is where, well, Issei then looks at Valerie. Of course, they seem to be the same height. Yes, Issei is actually the same height. Or seems to be a little bit taller than her, but yeah. So Valley is actually like 5'6" in original canon. Which Issei is actually like 5'7.5". This is where, well, he kind of looks at, well, Valerie with this kind of malicious grin. And this is where Valerie kind of has this kind of nervous look. This is where, well, Issei said, well, it's quite interesting to be right next to you. You look quite beautiful when I'm really next to you. This is where he kind of started whispering under that, which she managed to hear because of the double hearing, because she's actually one of, well, not pure blood, but half breed, but that doesn't matter because he is a descendant of Lucifer. This is where, well, she blushes and says, "What are you talking about, you freaking..." This is where, before she even answered any further, her hand was grabbed to be pulled closer to him. And this is where, well, he grins and didn't really care about this. This is where, well, both Drake and Albion widen their eyes after seeing the sight and what the fuck they're seeing. This is where, well, everyone said, "What the fuck?" This is where Rebecca was shocked. Archer was just shocked. He might not cover his sister's eyes in an instant. Kuroko was shocked and kind of jealous a little bit. This is where, well, the fox girl was also shocked and just jealous. This is where, well, Issei couldn't really stop, kind of. Well, mostly he stopped himself from not doing this. Pretty much he just took the lips of what they call volleys. But yeah, mostly Valerie's. This is where, well, when he lets go of mostly, well, they let go because out of just breath, mostly Valerie had to push him away. And this is where she started trying to breathe, well, mostly breathe. This is where, well, she glares at Issei. This is where Issei grins with such a malicious grin. Issei says, "Oh, come on. Don't tell me you didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. Such a beautiful, amazing girl like you." This is where, well, Valerie blushes and tries to look away. This is where, well, Ophis was right now dumbfounded. And this is where, well, Drake says, "What the fuck are you doing?" This is where Albion says, "Hell nah! No, 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 no. What the fuck are you actually trying to do, right, Dragon Emperor?" This is where, well, Drake is literally screaming at his container. And this is where Issei's right now just cleaning out his ears. And this is where he says, "You said something, Drake?" Drake says, "Issei, look at me." This is where Issei says, "I am looking at you. No, look at me in my freaking, well, mindscape." Issei said, "Fine." He's looking at the Red Dragon Emperor. And this is where, well, Drake said, "What the fuck is this? I thought you said you were no longer going to be a pervert." "I never said I wasn't going to stop being a pervert, which I am. I'm going to stop doing that. But it doesn't mean I can't have a little bit of fun with the other opposite gender." This is where, well, Drake says, "Do you know who she is?" "Yes, her name is Valerie Lucifer, the descendant of Lucifer, well, direct descendant. And of course, well, also the White Dragon Empress." "And how is this supposed to affect me?" "Do you not hear that last part? White Dragon Empress. She is our enemy." "Well, she can be my enemy in bed. I wouldn't mind." This is where, well, Drake right now has a flustered face and says, "You idiot! What the hell? God damn it, I'd rather see that damn perverted side of..." This is where Issei has a glaring look, and this is where Issei says, "Don't you dare remind me of that bullshit." Ugh. But whatever. It doesn't really matter, does it? She can be mine, and I can be hers. It doesn't matter, right? She is the opposite gender. She looks really, really cute. This is where Issei is saying without even a care in what he's actually saying. This is where, well, I'll be honest right now, trying to see, well, his container, mostly the vessel, and that being, well, Valerie, and she is right now in deep shade of red. Right now putting great red scales to just shame. This is where, well, Albion says, "Valerie, are you okay?" This is where, well, the others are trying to comfort Valerie, and this is where Valerie says, "I'm not okay. He literally took my first lips. I. This is where, well, he said grins and says, "You what? You enjoyed it?" "I enjoyed it also." This is where Valerie right now throws a pillow to his face, and this is where he says, "Ow." This is where he falls down to the ground and says, "Ow, okay. I see you didn't enjoy it. Leave me alone." This is where Valerie kind of right now, well, lands on him, mostly kind of just sits on top of him and says, "You bastard." This is where she has a very furious, angry look. This is where she says, "You're going to take responsibility." This is where Issei says, "But I really didn't give you any kids, so how else am I going to do... Well, how else am I going to take responsibility when I haven't given you any single children?" This is where, well, Valerie's face becomes red and says, "No, not that. That's not what I'm talking about, you fucking asshole." This is where Issei grins and says, "Oh, that's not what you're talking about? I thought that was what you were talking about. I would have loved..." This is where, well, Valerie right now just covered his mouth up, and this is where, well, Issei goes, This is where, well, Valerie says, "Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up." This is where, well, Issei said, "Oh, well, she's quite mean." This is where, well, Drake says, "I wonder why. Maybe because you literally took her fucking lips like an instant." God damn it, Issei. This is where, well, Issei said, "I couldn't resist. She's so damn cute." Even with her freaking fluster and anger, she's so damn adorable. I can't contain myself. I wanted more. This is where, well, Valerie is looking away from Issei. This is where, well, she is covering her, mostly covering his mouth with, what's it called, her hands. And this is where, well, Issei, he then kind of decides to be teasing and decides to kind of just lick her hand a little bit. Of course, she is covering his mouth and he can't talk, but this is where he just wanted to kind of lick her hand to see what happened. The reaction was kind of funny to him because her face becomes more even red than normal. This is where she said, "What the hell? Did you lick my hand?" This is where Issei says, "Kind of tastes very strawberry." This is where, well, she just about to slap the shit out of Issei, and this is where Issei said, "Oh shit." Time stop. This is where, well, he then, well, he just said time stop, which freezes everything. He managed to get out of, what's it called, mostly underneath, what's it called, Valerie. And this is where, well, Issei did wanted to grab her chest, but this is where he stopped himself and decides to just kind of put her down, mostly put her down on the couch. And this is where he appears right in front of Ophis. It was all great in the time stop, but of course he appears back again normally. He then says, "Well, that was quite interesting." This is where, well, Ophis winding her eyes, seeing Issei appear right in front of her. This is where, well, Valerie's winding her eyes, and this is where she was about to just slap him, but slap the air instead. And this is where she said, "Huh? No, you bastard!" This is where she's gritting her teeth, literally hating that time stop ability. This is where, well, Issei says, "Sorry, but I can't let you just slap the shit out of me, Valerie. We haven't even decided to date. Where do you even want to go out first? And then you can slap the shit out of me." This is where, well, Valerie's glaring at him. This is where Issei's just grinning at her. This is where, well, Ophis says, "Okay, if you little birds can stop." This is where, well, Issei said, "Huh? Oh, sure I can stop. Unless you want to join with me." And Valerie's kind of little fun. This is where, well, Ophis kind of looks away, well, with a confused look, but of course her face becomes a little bit red. This is where, well, Issei then kind of looks at the other girls, mostly the Fox and Nakamoto, and they're right now kind of, well, stopping themselves from actually jumping on Issei because they're right now in their heated state. This is where, well, he knows about how animals mostly work up or kind of act when, what's it called, a very heated situation kind of happens. They mostly just jump on the person who kind of, well, mostly made them this way. They can't really control themselves. But of course, he can see that the two girls are literally controlling themselves pretty well. Of course, well, Arthur's little sister's looking away right now with embarrassment and shocked that she never thought that literally the Red Dragon Emperor would do some stuff like this. So, well, Issei then says, he says, Zawarzo. This is where, well, yes, he stopped time. Okay, I'm just naming it Zawarzo, but yeah. This is where, well, he then appears right in front of what's it called, well, the Nakamoto and Fox and says, "Wait, hello there, beautifuls. Do you want to join with me with Vali?" This is where, well, mostly Kuroko couldn't stop herself and said, "Yes!" This is where she literally tries to jump on him, but this is where Issei dodges to the left and saying, "Ha! Just kidding." This is where, well, the Fox girl says, "Get over here." This is where Issei says, "Oh shit." He ducks, and this is where both of them are right now just having these pharaoh-looking eyes and says, "Get over here." This is where, well, Issei says, "Whoa, yeesh, you two are very excited." Well, I'm not giving children to anyone just yet. This is where, well, they try to pounce on him again, and this is where Issei says, "Zawarzo." This is where, oh, well, he didn't say Zawarzo, they said King Crimson. No, I'm just kidding. But pretty much he kind of just stopped time again, and of course appeared next to mostly the couch, sitting down right in front of Valerie. This is where Valerie is just glaring at him. The two girls were trying to, well, jump on him again if they weren't kind of restricted, which kind of just galaxy chains kind of restricting them down to the ground. This is where they're angry and right now kind of screaming at Issei to let them go and literally let them kind of pounce on him. This is where, well, Ophis right now appears next to, well, Valerie, and of course saying, "What is love?" This is where, well, Valerie said, I don't really know. This is where, well, Valerie doesn't even know neither. This is where Kuroko says, "I can tell you, I know what it is." This is where, well, mostly the Fox girl also wanted to say something, but this is where, well, Issei says, "Well, this has been fun and all, but I think I should be leaving. I'm not going back to the three factions, and well, yeah, definitely I'm not going to the three factions. I'll probably be going and making my own group. I don't really have any time and any care about bringing the Triseca or any of that shit into this world. And I really don't care about Great Reds and his fucking dimension gap bullshit. So pretty much I just make my own group. Well, see ya." This is where, well, Issei said, "Oh, before I go, this is where well." He still has the what's it called symbol on his hand, mostly the Grimoire symbol, but of course it's grayish instead of being red because he just stopped it when he actually got here. And of course, where well, Issei kind of removes the Grimoire seal by kind of just crushing his hand, and this is where a galaxy kind of dust appears from it, kind of destroying the seal, so they wouldn't be able to find him anymore. And this is where well, he then looks at the palm pieces that he still has in his body. This is where he says, "Galaxy piercing shots." This is where well, not piercing shots, mostly piercing needles appear, and this is where they stab upon his chest right now, taking out all the what's it called palm pieces from his like chest, and this is where they appear right in front of him. This is where Issei grinned, and this is where Issei says, "Combinement, evolution style." This is where he uses the galaxy around the 8 palm pieces, and his chest is being healed in an instant thanks to using time and just speeding up the healing process in an instant. And this is where he then kind of fuses what's it called the mostly palm pieces with his galaxy energy and even his time energy, and even a little bit what Drake's power, boosting it using transfer. And this is where the palm pieces decide to merge all together to become just one piece together, but it then becomes into a king piece. This is where not really a king piece, it becomes into a god piece. This is where it's called a god piece. We'll see the time and space god piece. This is where Issei infused into his body and becomes a little bit much more powerful. He can now transform anyone into the same species, or mostly a weaker, lower down species than himself, instead of being god level. But yeah, this is where Issei says, "Well, I should be going then. Bye." This is where Issei makes a rift appear right in front of him. A time rift appear right in front of him. Mostly being space and time. This is where he uses his gauntlet, mostly his time and his wings to make a rift. This is where Issei says, "Well, bye. I'll see you girls later." This is where Issei snaps his fingers and of course destroy the chains from what's it called Kuroka and the fox girl. And Issei says, "Well, bye. I'll be seeing you later, girls. Don't try to, have fun without me." This is where Issei kind of closes one of his eyes, mostly his time eye. And of course, where he puts his finger up to his mouth, mostly showing his red gauntlet. Having his red gauntlet and putting it into his mouth, saying, "Don't have fun without me." Shh. This is where he kind of just shoves them, and this is where they all blush in an instant, look away, and this is where Issei jumps into it and say bye. This is where he just basically jumps into it like if he was just doing the free fall and other stuff, and this is where the little dimension kind of rift just closes in an instant. But yeah, this is where all of them were blushing and kind of having angry faces. Mostly Kuroka and the fox girl were just angry because they were still in their heat state. Of course, the word Valerie is quite angry because she literally got her lips stolen from Issei first. And this is where just Ophis is kind of shocked and dumbfounded and quite angry because she doesn't know how this feeling even works. This is where, they're kind of cursing Issei's name out. And this is where, Biku, Arthur, and even Femia or whatever her name is, kind of just looks at them confusedly. But yeah, Arthur says, "I think we should have a good idea to literally stay out of the house or they will try to get us." Biku says, "I'll be fine. I don't mind this." "So you don't mind getting killed? Okay, see you, Biku." This is where Biku says, "No, wait, Arthur, come back. No, don't let me stay here neither." Because this is where all the girls kind of turn at them with such murderous glares. And this is where Biku says, wait, Arthur, don't leave me." This is where Arthur right now uses Excalibur ruler to make a dimensioning kind of cut just to teleport them somewhere else. This is where, mostly the little girl, mostly Arthur's sister, kind of also disappears with her older brother and Biku. And this is where, all the girls, mostly the 4 girls, are just there right now in heat and getting angry the fact that Issei left. This is where, Issei decides to appear into a different dimension. This dimension, mostly underneath his feet, it seems to be kind of this white smoke, this white kind of fluffy smoke. It's not, what's it called? The gates of heaven? No, it's not. He's in a different dimension. And so this smoke kind of has this weird kind of, mostly not symbols, but kind of time flow. This is where on top of him seems to be galaxy itself. This is where, it's a place full of stars and other stuff. This is where, he says, "So this would be the dimension I'll be resigning in until I decide to consider my plans. And one of those plans are, we're going sourcing right now." This is where, well, he makes another kind of, well, dimension, kind of using both time and space to rip a dimension. And this is where, well, he then kind of jump in through it. This is where Drake says, I don't know where we're going, but where are we going exactly? Don't worry, I already found where we're going. A red, mostly a black red star appears through this void, and this is where Drake says, what is that? Don't worry, you don't need to worry anything, Drake. This is where Issei, he also kind of emits his kind of, he stops using Dialga's powers, and of course this is where his hand started emitting this reddish and blackish color, and this is where he says, found you. This is where, well, he appears right in front of a giant dragon, being almost as tall as, not Big Red, Great Red himself. A giant black, and I mean black kind of scaled lizard with crimson red eyes. This is where, well, he has crimson red kind of scales also, but this is where, well, when he opens his eyes and narrows them down, he does have 4 pairs of eyes entirely. Mostly 2 on the other side and 2 on the other side. This dragon is none other than a dragon that, well, even was it called Drake fears. He says, what the? Issei, do you know what that is? This is where a dragon snorts, and this is where he talks. Finally, you actually came for me. So, do you think I can now be released from this freaking imprisonment? I'm going to kick the shit out of Great Red and Ophis. Issei's like, No. I started taking a liking to Ophis, so you can't do something like that. Other than that, you can beat the shit out of Great Red. But not the point. So, what's it called? So, his name is Zenmitsu, and of course, where he said, Zenmitsu, the Dragon of Annihilation. I can't let you do stuff like that crazy. You can definitely hurt Great Red. But you do know that, what's it called? Well, Trisecta is sealed away, thank God. Now, little demon or whatever the fuck it is, can stay there. But I'm here to free you, and you do know what we both decided, since we were both trapped in one place. This is where, well, Zenitsu kind of just chuckles and says, okay, I understand, an alliance here then. This is where, well, Zenitsu decides to transform and become an older looking man, being in his 60s or something. This is where he has a staff, a black but reddish staff, and of course kind of has his armor. This is where, well, he then kind of slower down, kind of a little bit lesser down, to kind of age up to being similar to the same, well, age as Issei. This is where, well, he then says, I don't really like aging up to this young. Maybe I'll go up to being 20, maybe 25. I don't really care. But right now, you do know me as Issei, the Dragon of Annihilation. Issei Hero. This is where Issei says, well, you can call me Issei Hero, but I don't really like Hero that much. So, call me, instead of calling me just Hero, just call me Issei. That name would be perfect enough. This is where, well, what do you want to be called for the title then? You can call me the dragon, well, the god dragon of both time and space. This is where, well, fine, whatever, I'll call you that. Well, we should be leaving. This place sucks that much. I hated this place so much. I've been here for thousands of years. This is where he smells Drake there and says, oh, Drake, I see that you're in that gauntlet. This is where Drake switches up and says, no. He then transforms and gets back into Issei's body. This is where Issei says, oh, don't scare, what's it called, Heavenly Dragon like that. He gets scared enough from your presence. Whatever. This is where Zenitsu and also Issei disappears. Mostly in another time dimensional rift. Mostly this time, yeah. This is where, well, they both go inside it. Mostly Issei and what's it called, Zenitsu, and yeah, they disappear. But for right now, I'm going to leave it off here for part 1 of What If Issei had found out about the truth of his death and had mostly space and time abilities, or space and time. But don't worry about that. Bye. See you, and well, yeah, see you.